Now at noon, a winter storm warning in the Cascades triggering a weather impact alert. We'll break down what to expect with impending snow on the mountains and windy, wet weather in the valley. Plus, Trimet plans to cut multiple bus and train lines this year, and they want you to help choose which ones. Plus,
it's concerning that all of these vaccines are being rolled back.
Major changes to federal vaccine recommendations, raising questions about how best to protect your child. And later, the Kraken crank up the intensity in their game against Calgary for a special birthday to remember. Your News at Noon starts now. Kicking things off here at noon with a weather impact alert with a winter storm warning in effect for the Cascades. That is expected to bring the biggest snowfall of this season. Good news for a lot of people. Meanwhile, here in the valley, we are looking at wet and windy conditions. Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Stephanie Domrat. Let's get right to Chris McGinnis, who's joining us in the Weather Center. Chris, break down what we can expect here.
Well, for sure, the overwhelming headline, the biggest snow of the season to date in the Cascades. Also, the Blue Mountains, I want to include that. Interstate 84 and the higher passes out there will become wintry as we go throughout the day today. But specifically in the South Washington and North Oregon Cascades, that winter storm warning now in effect through 4 p.m. on Thursday. Here's the live look up at Timberline Lodge. Again, this is up at 6,000 feet. So the ski resorts are going to get absolutely hammered with snow here over the next 48 hours. It's 23 degrees up there. But even through the Cascade passes, again, we've got snow starting to accumulate here at just shy of 4,000 feet on Mount Hood. This is a government camp. And as we roll through the next little while here, the snow is going to continue to pick up. So as Stephanie mentioned, the heaviest snow of the season so far in the Cascades over the next 48 hours. The passes will become treacherous. That means you need to be prepared for winter driving. Don't go up there unless you're prepared for it, with chains and traction tires required over the next 48 hours while these winter storm warning conditions are ongoing. So snow in the Cascades. We've had some light rain so far in the valley this morning, but I do expect that rain to start to pick up in coverage and intensity. Radar shows a pretty steady band of rain now working its way into the North Oregon Coast Range. So right now a little break over downtown, but it's 46. Breeze is starting to pick up, and that breeze will ratchet up a little bit more this afternoon. So the afternoon commute is going to turn breezier and wetter, with temperatures pretty much holding steady in the mid-40s, and eventually a driving rain developing, Stephanie, as we go towards the evening commute here. So be aware of that. It'll be a wet night ahead and a snowy one in the Cascades. More on that coming up in just a bit.
A lot going on this afternoon. All right, Chris, thank you. A major update in the Trump administration's efforts to deploy National Guard troops to Portland. Within the last hour, we have learned that Governor Tina Kotek was notified of an order to demobilize those 100 troops that have been sitting in limbo for months. In a statement, Kotek confirmed U.S. Northern Command issued the official demobilization order yesterday, saying in part, quote, "While I am relieved that all our troops will finally return home, it does not make up for the personal sacrifices of more than 100 days, including holidays spent in limbo," end quote. And those 100 troops will now travel to Fort Bliss in Texas before returning to Oregon as civilians. Developing this afternoon, Portland police say a driver has died after getting away from officers during a traffic stop. Just before 11:30 last night, Port of Portland officers attempted a traffic stop at Northeast Prescott and 116th. They say while the driver drove away at high speed, they did not pursue the car, but monitored which way it was heading. They later received a report of the car on fire 2 streets down at Northeast Fremont and 112th, where the car crashed after striking a parked vehicle. The driver was pronounced dead at scene. 2 of the 3 suspects arrested in connection with the death of a 13-year-old boy were in court this morning for a bail hearing. Xavier Hirsch and Anthony Hunter Jr. both face murder charges, among others, in the death of Liam Spalney Bailey. In April of last year, Liam was asleep in his father's apartment in Gresham when a shooting broke out in the adjacent unit. A stray bullet went through the wall, hitting Liam. He later died of his injuries at the hospital. Hunter was arrested in August and Hirsch was arrested in October. The 3rd suspect, Terrell Coy, was arrested in November. Our Celine Stevens was at that hearing this morning. We will have a report in our evening newscasts. A man accused of shooting and killing a father of 5 at a Vancouver bar made his first court appearance yesterday. 28-year-old Jared Taylor is accused of shooting 43-year-old Corey Jones late Friday just outside the Off-Ramp Sports Bar and Grill. Jones's friend says he and Jones were leaving the bar when Jones and Taylor exchanged words, and seconds later, Taylor started shooting.
friend was like, he went up to him and like was saying, "No, dude, it's just a joke. Learn to take a joke." And then by the time he got to the last word of joke, the guy just pulled out a gun and just unloaded.
Taylor, who is charged with second-degree murder, will be back in court on Friday. A Trimet rider who says he was attacked by security guards on a MAX train for no reason is now suing Trimet for over $400,000. And now KGW has learned the Multnomah County DA has filed warrants against the two guards, accusing them of misdemeanor crimes. This all stems from an incident on a MAX Blue Line train back in mid-October. James Hahn says he was riding home from work when he accidentally bumped into a contracted security guard. Hahn says he didn't think anything of it and walked on, and that's when he says the security guard grabbed him from behind while another guard put a chokehold on him, eventually tackling him onto a row of seats. Here's more of what Hahn's lawyer had to say.
I think the message is if you're going to have guards on a train potentially using lethal force like chokeholds, then they need to be adequately trained. And in this case, it's pretty clear these guards were not adequately trained.
Trimet told KGW it does not comment on pending litigation. It also says the security guards referenced in the filing are contract security personnel and not Trimet employees. Trimet is asking for your input on plans to eliminate some bus lines, cut back on others, and shorten the MAX Green Line. Though it's important to note that these changes aren't set in stone and wouldn't take effect until August. Alma McCarty has more on what riders need to know.
At Portland's Rose Quarter, Trimet riders rush to catch connecting buses and trains.
I'm trying to hurry up and get home, but it's okay. That's my bus.
Most on this Monday night with only good things to say about the service.
It's really lovely. It's no complaints.
Portlanders relying on public transit to get to work, to get home, to get to a Blazers game.
I like not having to deal with the traffic in Portland.
And
the parking, for sure.
But service cuts and changes are coming later this year.
people that live there, people that need to travel, and so it does have an effect.
The agency calling it a last resort.
The situation will be very dire if we wait and do nothing. And so that's why we're taking these difficult steps now.
Those steps to address a $300 million budget shortfall. Tia York with Trimet says they've already tackled half of that with internal cuts, layoffs, and pauses on future routes.
So what we've done is try to go through our entire 533 square mile service area and make those adjustments. So these changes affect 35 bus lines, the MAX Green Line, and eliminate about 3 bus lines.
Currently, the proposals have Trimet shortening the MAX Green Line and eliminating bus service in South Gresham, along Stafford and Salamo Roads in West Lynn, and Tualatin-Sherwood Road in Tualatin. The agency provided more details and maps of the changes on the Trimet website.
So you can really see, oh, there were 3 lines here and now there are 2. Or, oh, this line once went that way and now it's taking a more circuitous route so it serves all these areas so that no one or as few people as possible are left out.